my previous videos, I showed you how to make a tear-off notepad from leftover paper scraps and also a refillable hardcover case for it. Today I'd like to use the same idea but to create something completely different. We are going to make this small Japanese step-bound notepad. The pages for these notepads originally came from larger sheets that were cut for another bookbinding project of mine. And when I pick up the paper, I asked to keep the leftover strips as well, because I knew they would be perfect for small projects like this. I always liked finding a way to use every piece of paper, and these little notepads are a wonderful example of how useful paper leftovers can be. Hi, I'm Joanna. Welcome back to my missredfox paper art channel. It's all about bookbinding and paper crafts for beginners here. And today we are making this simple Japanese step-bound notepad that is perfect for notes, to-dos, shopping lists or reminders. For this project I'm using leftover paper sheets from the print shop. These are 8 by 15 centimeters and they are 20, but you can use whatever size you'd like and how many you want. One extra sheet for drawing the whole pattern. 2 cardstock covers, they are also 8 by 15 centimeters. A ruler, a pencil, something to use as a spacer. You can use a ruler or something like this. This is a cardboard spacer that I made myself and it's 2 centimeters wide. Something to score, so a bone folder for example. 2 or 3 clips, linen thread and a needle. Something to punch. I will use my crocodile, but you can use an awl or one of these Japanese awls. And last but not least, a perforating wheel. This one is actually used for making sewing patterns, but I use it for this kind of project and it works very well. I will start by marking the positions for the sewing holes on this extra sheet of paper, which is identical with the pages. And because this notepad is so small, so 8 by 15 centimeters, I will only use 3 holes instead of the traditional 4 for the Japanese binding, but you could also use only 2 if you like, but it won't be so stable. The binding will go along the short side of the notepad, and I will measure carefully now so the holes are evenly spaced along the spine. And I decided to make the holes 1 centimeter from the spine. So I measure 1 centimeter from this short edge. I'm drawing a line. And then I want to have 3 holes, so I need 4 sections here, equally spaced. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, so each hole is 2 centimeters from the other one and from the edges. So I have here 2, 2, 2 and 2 centimeters. And I can make holes in this already. It's easier after that to use as a guidance for punching the pages in the covers. Like this. In some of my previous videos I demonstrated the traditional 4-hole Japanese binding, and I will link them in the description, but now here we are using only 3 holes. I should now stack all the pages and the covers and this pattern together and clip them and punch holes, but because this sandwich would be a bit too thick for my crocodile here, I will divide them into 2, so roughly, and then take the cover as well and this pattern and align them properly and clip them together so they don't slip and they stay properly in place. And now I'll use my crocodile to punch. It's quick and easy to use and works very well for a project like this, but only if you don't want to punch too many pages at once. So if your paper stack is thicker than mine, you can always divide it into small sections and punch them separately before putting everything back together. So the important thing is that all the holes line up properly. And now I will use my pattern here and punch the holes. And then repeat that with the other stack. Now we don't need this template anymore. And sometimes you have some paper bits left in the holes, and then you can take an awl or something sharp and push them out of the holes. Now that I removed the clips, I can separate pages and covers. And I will use my cardboard spacer and a bone folder to mark folds here on the covers. Oh, we have some more paper bits here. So this is the part with the holes. And I will place my spacer directly here at the edge. And then make a crease, score a crease, a fold with my bone folder. And repeat here. You'd actually need a proper cover with the book close hinge here, which would last longer than only cardstock when you open and close the notepad. But for this easy project, this will do. So covers are finished now. And now for the pages. I will perforate the pages now at the same height as the fold. Like here. And the perforation would make it easier to tear pages out later if I decide to use the notepad as a shopping list or a to-do list, and I would need then a page out of this notepad. Of course, this step is completely optional, and if you'd rather keep all the pages permanently inside a notepad without being able to tear them out, you can simply leave this step out and leave the pages unperforated. To keep the perforation line consistent throughout the notepad, I will use the same spacer as a guide, but you can also use a ruler. And this is just a piece of cardboard, and it works just as well as a spacer or as a plastic or a metal ruler. This will help me keep the same distance from the future spine on every page. So I take one piece of paper, one page, and place my spacer here directly at the edge, and then take this one and perforate. See if my camera wants to focus. It doesn't. But we have a perforation line here. And then the next page. Unfortunately, you can't do two at once or even more, because this is not so sharp. So I'm doing this fast. It is important that you use something like a cutting mat for not reading your table. Of course, there are machines for doing this, I presume, in the notebook and notepad factories. But this is an easy method to use at home. And that's the point, to try to make things for yourself. I don't perforate them first and then punch the holes, because it's easier like this, first punching the holes and then perforating. Otherwise I won't be able to align them properly to punch the holes at the same places. Now we can stack everything together, but I want to show you one. So it's easy to tear it off. Now I need another to have my 20 pages in the book. Like so. We can now stack everything together and bind the book. The covers don't need a perforation, but they have the folds here that we made before. So align and stack everything properly, clip them in place, and we are ready to bind. You have two options to bind this notepad. You can either start on the back side of the notepad in the middle hole and finish there again with a knot, or you can start and finish on the front side and leave a longer tail at the beginning and at the end for this thread, and then make a bow. And I will show you this version. The other one is practically identical. So I will measure my thread first, and for this, so this is 8 centimeters wide, I need about 50 centimeters of thread. And I won't wax it, it's linen thread and it's quite okay for this little project. So, and I will start on the front side in the middle hole, and I'll leave a tail about 10 centimeters. And then I wrap around the spine and go back again from front to back through the middle hole. Pull not too tight, but tight enough that this is kept in place. And then I can wander to the left or to the right, it doesn't matter. In the next hole, from back to the front. Oops. The idea is that you cover all these gaps and go over the spine each time. So over the spine, and we are back on the front cover. Now we go around the long edge, from back to the front. To the middle hole again. The other hole from back to front, around the spine, around the long edge, through the middle hole to the back. And now I have the problem that one thread end is here and one is here, and I need this on the front. So what I do, I thread my needle underneath one of those sewn sections and go back again through the hole, and this kind of secure the thread. And now I can remove these. I have my tails here, and I can tie a knot and then make a bow. think I forgot the scissors in my list of materials and tools. So now we are finished. So you can see this is the idea of the Japanese binding. Then all those sections on the front side and on the back side are identical and filled with thread. And you go over the spine as well. And that's the finished notepad. It's simple and practical and made from paper that might otherwise have been discarded. And it has this little fold here, this little hinge, which won't last forever because this is only cardstock, but that's okay for a project like this. And then I can tear off the page if I need to, because of the perforation. This is quite an easy task to do. I really like projects like this because they give a second life to materials that still have plenty of use left in them, like these small paper strips. As I said, they started as leftovers from a larger project, but now they've become a useful notepad that can travel with me wherever I go. And because the construction is so simple, it's also a wonderful project for beginners or even for crafting together with children, and you can also make them as little gifts. I hope you enjoyed this beginner-friendly Japanese bookbinding project, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Feel free to like and subscribe if you like this tutorial, and stay tuned for more bookbinding videos. Happy crafting!